Okay. Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name's Natalie. I'm the president of Women Who Invest. It's very nice to see all of you guys. We're going to give a presentation on a bit of an introduction to our club, what we do, and then we're also going to talk about how to perfect your resumes. So you can follow along with your own resume while we give you tips, or you can just jot down notes, but we'll have this presentation sent out to you guys by the end of the meeting. So Grace, do you want to introduce yourself?
To unmute myself. I'm Grace. I'm the VP, senior finance major. I don't know how much information you want me to give. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming. I'm so glad you all are interested.
Perfect. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. I might see them until after.
I can keep an eye out.
Okay, perfect. So we are Women Who Invest. Our mission statement is women investing in each other to promote financial equality and freedom. So how we do that is we plan workshops each month, kind of like this, to educate women on different topics in financial literacy. So we're planning like a budgeting workshop, a financing versus investing, stocks, bonds, alternatives, all the basics. And our goal with this is to make them as simple and easy to understand as possible, since I know finance and investing especially can be very intimidating. So we want to make sure that it's really easily accessible for those who might not have a financial background or who aren't finance or business majors. We also provide professional development opportunities. So what that looks like is having different organizations partner with us, or me sending out some fun opportunities for you guys in our emails, and also having like these resume and LinkedIn workshops to further your professional development. And lastly, we are creating a website with the resources and explanations in these meetings where you will be able to find other investing stuff on it. Perfect. So I want to give a quick introduction to our board. So my name's Natalie. I am the president, as I mentioned earlier. I'm a sophomore finance and accounting major with a minor in Spanish. Grace, do you want to go?
Yeah,
I know
sure.
you already want.
Yeah, before vice president, I'm a senior finance major. Hoping to go into wealth management when I graduate. That's pretty much it, I guess.
Great. Michelle?
I'm Michelle. I'm a senior. I'm the vice president of marketing, and I'm an emerging technology and business major with a double minor in marketing and entrepreneurship.
Perfect. Thank you. And Michelle is running our marketing team while me and Grace are running our education team. Gabby, do you want to go?
My name is Gabby. I am a sophomore accounting major, and that's about it. No minors for me.
Solo?
I'm Solo. I'm a sophomore finance major with a computer science minor. I'm interested in getting into investment banking in my future.
Very cool. Thank you. Leah? Is Leah here?
Yeah, hi, I'm Leah. I'm a sophomore marketing major hoping to add a minor in entrepreneurship, and I'm working with Michelle on the marketing team.
Perfect. And then Katie?
Sorry, I had to figure out how to get off mute. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm the editorial head, and I'm a sophomore finance major.
Perfect. And I think that's all of our board. So hi, guys. Perfect. So I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about why we are specifically for women. So not to mention the gender pay gap. I know a lot of you probably know a lot about it, but it is a measure of how much women make relative to men. So that includes factors like ethnicity, disability, access to education, age, etc. So for example, regarding ethnicity, in terms of white non-Hispanic men's wages, Asian women earn 90%, white women earn 79%, Black women would earn 62%, and Hispanic women would earn 54% of that amount, the total 100%. In addition to the gender pay gap, there's a lot of other factors that go into that, like employer bias, discrimination, and other practices in offices. So that would include like using prior salary to determine the current pay, prohibiting discussion of wages, employment history, unpaid maternity leave. All of those factors affect women's salaries. Additionally, the salary difference would include the peak salary for women being age 40, while the peak salary for men is age 55. There's also a debt gap, which means that women usually have less disposable income and are slower to pay off their debts. And also, women hold 2/3 of student debt, which is absolutely crazy. And there's also the investment and wealth gap, which means that women are less likely to invest, which is totally understandable because it's very intimidating. And the statistic says only 34% of women feel comfortable making investing decisions, while 49% of men do. So that's what we want to do in Women Who Invest. We want to help bridge that gap in the all the different stuff that are preventing us from actually gaining the wealth that we can achieve. So that's what we do in this club and why it's so important. And now we're going to talk a little bit about resumes. If Grace, you want to hop on.
Awesome. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me. And like Natalie said, we're going to send this out. So if you want to go back to it, obviously you will have that information as well. Okay, so just for like resume basics, if you're a freshman, it's totally okay if you don't have one yet. I don't think I had one for a couple months into freshman year. So if it's a little bit intimidating, I completely understand. Okay, but so your resume should only be one page, just the front of the page. Employers, they don't have a lot of time to be looking through a whole book of your life accomplishments. It's just supposed to be a snapshot. Your resume should be organized, and I would say the format of it and colors, fonts, things like that should be based on your major. So like I'm finance, so my resume is pretty basic looking. It's all black and white. But if you're more marketing, you know, you can add some more color in there, make it a little bit more creative. But that would just be based on your major and then types of jobs you're applying to, or, you know, clubs, things like that. You should absolutely have no spelling, grammar, punctuation errors. You need to be checking that over 10 times, more than that, because it's just such a simple mistake. You shouldn't have that on there. It will basically like ruin the accomplishments that you do have down on there. You want to use the rule of 3 as much as possible. So basically what that means is like a list of 3 or anything in 3 is like kind of more attractive on a resume. And then verb tenses should be consistent with past experience and current experiences. So for experience, for like each thing you have on your resume, you're probably going to give a little bit of description and say, if I already like ended a job, I would use the past tense, obviously. And then if you're still in the role, you would need to make sure you're using the present tense, just so that's more clear to employers. Go ahead. Okay, so as for sections on your resume, I know before I had mine, I'm like, I don't even know like what's supposed to go on it. Like, do I just put my jobs? Do I put, I don't know. So the first section should be your name and contact information up at the top, super clear. It shouldn't be confusing what your name is. And that will just have, you know, your email, your phone number, whatever address would be more applicable for you to use. So you can use, you know, your Oxford address or your home address. And then like I have my LinkedIn link on there. If you have like the customized one, you might want to put that. But just, you know, information so an employer can reach it back out to you. It would be a shame if you didn't have that on there and you were a good candidate for it. So next would be the objective. You don't always have to have this on here, but this would be just a few sentences explaining basically what the objective of the resume is in relation to whatever you're applying to. You can like definitely Google some examples of this. It's super simple. So next would be like an education section, maybe. If you're a freshman, you can still have your high school on there, but after sophomore year, you should probably just have, you know, Miami University, your graduation year. I've like expected graduation May 2021 for mine. And then you should have the name of your degree. So like mine would be Bachelor of Science in Business Finance. Sometimes they're a little bit confusing, so I would double check that. You don't want to be calling it something incorrect. And then, so that's for education. You can also include your GPA in there. You know, sometimes you might want it, sometimes you might not. But that would be in the education section. And then next.
Sorry, Grace, to interrupt.
Yeah,
A comment about your GPA is what I've had people tell me. If you want your GPA on there and you think it's good enough for your employers to see, then you can put it on there. But if there is an issue with it or a problem, you don't have to include it, but they will ask you for it. So when they ask you for it, you could probably give an extra explanation as to like why your GPA is lower than you would like it to be. So that's if you are choosing not to include it.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So next you can have a skills or application section. So I would probably say this would be more like finance or computer science. It's like, you know, like I have like Excel on there, JavaScript, SQL, MoneyGuide Pro, like different like computer programs or applications that I know how to use. You can also have things such as like organization, public speaking, leadership on there. If you feel those are really strong characteristics of yours that would be important for the role you're applying to. And then next you could have employment experience. So if you have an on-campus job, you had a job in high school that you know, maybe still go back to on breaks, anything like that. And then you could have a section called relevant experience. So this could be, so relevant experience is basically anything that would be in kind of relation to whatever you're applying to. So say I'm applying for a finance entry-level position, I would put my internships down or any like projects I've done in class or case studies related to that kind of work, basically. And then next you could have organization. This is like a club on campus, a sports team, sorority, you know, maybe if you do like volunteer work outside of school, you would have that. And then if you have some extra room, you can also put your like personal interests. So I think Natalie has like Spanish on there, things like more exciting things, I guess, to let employers know a little bit more about your personal life. You might, you know, strike up an interest in them if they have a similar interest. Yeah. And then, so I don't have every single one of these sections on my resume. You don't have to either. You don't have a ton of room. You'll find it's honestly hard to fit a lot of things on just one page. So basically just pick out the ones that you have the most background for, or that you would think would be the most important for whatever you're applying to.
And I found that the objective and the interests are usually put on there if you have like a little bit more room and can fit it on. But I think the objective and the interests are the first to go since they're less important than the rest of it.
I would agree with that. Awesome.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so now for resume content, this is going to be like, so you're going to have each section like we just described, and then now I'm going to talk about each like experience that you're going to have down on your resume. So each one should include the company or organization it was from. So like one of mine is like the Mather Group is a company, and then my title within that role. So it would, if it's like a club on campus, you could put member or like finance intern, basically whatever your formal position was in that role. And then you should have the dates that you worked there or were involved, and then the location. And so you can put like Cleveland, Ohio, Oxford, Ohio, things like that. Just so I find sometimes that makes it easier if they're trying to look up the organization or company. They like to see that, especially if a company has multiple locations. And then you should have some descriptive bullet points for all or most of your experiences. They should be very concise. Employers like when you use numbers in these because, you know, it really quantifies your work that you did in that experience. And then you should show how you personally affected the organization or company, you know, yourself, not really your team. They employers like to see what, you know, your personal work was there. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Okay. So, and then within each section that I described on the last slide, those experiences should be in chronological order. So obviously the most recent first, and then like if I had something from like sophomore year or freshman year, that would be last. And then as for just content in general, freshman year, you can definitely still have things from high school on your resume because, you know, they know that you just got on campus, maybe like you haven't gotten a leadership position yet, or obviously you probably might not have a resume, or not a resume. You might not have had an internship, so they understand that. But I would say by sophomore year, it should be all things from your college career, unless you have like a job that, like a summer job or something that you started in high school and still go back to. That's totally fine to keep on there. Okay, I think that's it for that.
So here we have some examples. Grace, if you want to go through your resume, and then I could start going through mine.
Okay, so mine's on the left here. As you can see, I've got my name real clear in the top of the resume. I have my email, phone number, LinkedIn link, home address. And then I have my education, you know, the title of my degree and my graduation date. I took my GPA off just so you could see, because Natalie has hers on. Sometimes like on my LinkedIn, I don't include it. And then like when I like apply for things, if there's a GPA requirement, I obviously put it on there. And then I have applications because finance, you know, they required you to know like Excel, Power BI, not, you know, things like that. So I have that on there. Those are also good talking points because I often ask, like, where did you acquire these skills or like learn how to use these applications? And that's interesting to talk about. And then next is my relevant experience section. And I put this before my relevant organizations and work experience because I have the majority, I have a lot of content from relevant experience since I'm a senior. So I have a couple internships. So I have my most recent one from this past summer, and then I have 2 others from last year. And then I also have the FYC on here. And I think every single time I'm in an interview, they ask me about that. So I've been keeping it on there. For, you know, like wealth management, they like to see that you can work with other people. So I think that's why, basically. But as you can see, that's in chronological order. I have the company really clear, my title, and then to the right, I have the time I worked there, and then the location, and then relevant organizations. I also like to use the word relevant organizations to let them know that those aren't the only organizations I'm involved in. Those are just the ones that I felt were necessary to highlight to whatever like thing I was applying to. So I have Women Who Invest on here. And then down below that, I just have my work experience, which is, you know, my high school job that I kept for like 5 years. And I also have been keeping that on there because employers always like mention that, oh, I worked there for like 5 years, you know, things like that. When employers are, or, you know, anyone looking at your resume, when they often point things out, I like take a note of that to keep it on there. That's just a random pointer because they seem to like focus on those things. So I guess they think they're important, but yeah, that's pretty much it for mine. Perfect. And I think if you guys want, we can send you our resume so you can like copy our letterhead or something, or if you want to just plug it in there, but I'm sure Natalie can send ours out, or
through like Word so they can edit it themselves.
Yeah, All right, I think that's it for mine if you want to talk about yours.
Great. So if you'll notice on Grace's that she has her relevant experience first, and then I have mine towards the bottom, and then I have like my campus leadership and involvement towards the top, and hers is towards the bottom. That's because I haven't had internships that many because I'm only a sophomore. So for her, it would make more sense to put all of her stuff that she's done through her internships because it's more important to her employers. But for me, it's more important for my campus leadership because it will eventually lead to my job rather than like the jobs that I've had previously, like as a camp counselor. The finance people won't really care about that. So I have my letterhead at the top. And I also have my degrees. I put my GPA on there. And then I have the degrees that I'm getting. So if you're getting more than one or other majors and stuff, make sure to put that down. So I have my master's of accountancy and then bachelor's of science and business. So I have both on there. I also put my honors and my languages up there because I thought I was pretty important. But sometimes people put them down at the bottom as extra information. Then I have all of my campus leadership and involvement. You can see over here, they're in chronological order. And I included the ones that were most important, like relevant experience. So investment banking club, women who invest, women in finance. And then also I have like the fencing team, but I'm the media liaison. So I have an exec position. So that's why I included it. But sometimes I know that people list them on the bottom as well, other organizations that they're part of. And then I have my professional experience here, also in chronological order and those detailed bullet points. And then you see my interests at the bottom because I had a little bit of extra room this year. And so I have like painting, Spanish literature, true crime podcast. So that includes like, it builds a little bit of rapport with the employers and stuff. Grace, do you have any questions? Do you see any questions in the chat? If you guys have any, you can ask them.
Yeah, there's no questions in the chat right now. Also, if you think of any questions, feel free to email either one of us. You'll have our emails, I'm sure.
So then I wanted to put a bit of campus resources on here to make sure that you guys can see where you can get your resumes checked. So Miami Center for Career Exploration and Success, I'm not on mute, okay. Career Exploration and Success is pretty important. You can email your resume to that email over there. They have virtual Zoom drop-in hours with some career coaches, and then you can also schedule an appointment with a career advisor, all to go through your resume. If you literally just Google it, you'll go on Miami's website and they have all the resources to like schedule an appointment and stuff. There's also Miami's VMOC platform, which I didn't learn about until this year, where you can put your resume in their VMOC platform and it will go through an AI and it will give you spots in your resume where you need improvement. So you can put it, I think, as many as 10 times through it. So as you keep on editing it, you can just put it through again and they can check it for you. And then obviously you can email it to us and we would be happy to check it over. So that's why I put our emails down below. So if you have any questions about resumes, feel free to put them in the chat. We would love to stop and talk about them. But for now, that's the end of our resume portion. And I would like to take a minute to talk about how you can get more involved in our organization. So obviously you can just come to our meetings and have a good time and chill and listen. But we also have a couple more ways of getting involved if you'd like. We have our education team, which is run by me and Grace. The education team performs research into each of our workshops. So for this one, it wasn't like too much research, but we'll eventually be having in-depth investment workshops. So those require a little bit more research. And our members, sometimes they also present with us because they have been doing research into specific topics. Although no previous knowledge or experience is necessary because we'll take everyone and we're all learning together. And then if you look over here, that's how our workshops usually look like with the education team at the top. We also have a marketing team, which is run by Michelle. So our marketing team promotes all of our events, both physically, like with the posters, and online through social media. They produce our color schemes and they help us along with our presentations. So that is run by Michelle, and Leah is also the marketing assistant. And we also have our editorial team, which is run by Katie. So starting this year, we're going to be compiling all of the resources that we're going through our workshops, and we're going to be putting it on a website that is easily accessible to everyone out there. So you would just type in our website and see all of our different resources and education and stuff like that. So if you would like to get more involved, I did put the link in the chat, but I'll put it there again so that you can fill it out. And you can pick more than one if you'd like, or you could just do one or none. It's totally up to you. And other ways of contacting us, so you can email me, you can add us in the hub. We also have an Instagram, which is probably the best way to find out about all of our different events. But that's pretty much all we have for today. If you guys have any questions in the chat, I'll put it in again. Yes, of course you can. For those, you usually put it down like stuff that you've been doing within the club, and you can put it prematurely, I guess, but I would wait to get a little bit more experience before you put down, because you want to put specific bullet points about what you personally have been doing rather than like what the club does and stuff. Any other questions? Yes, I will be emailing the presentation out, and I'll be including Grace and I's resumes in a Word document so that you can just edit like your name and stuff, and then I'll include the presentation in that too.
Any other questions?
Yeah, of course. So the education team meets a couple times a month, and we would assign each person like some topics to research. So you would do in-depth research in that. You would find different articles or different information and define terms about specific topics that we're doing for each workshop each month. And then once you've done all the research, you can obviously present it. Grace and I would make the presentation. You can present it on the slides that, on the topic that you specifically looked at, but you don't have to present if you don't want to, and we would just have you all of your research that you looked into.
Yeah, and for the research team, if you're not super familiar with a lot of topics, like I'm pretty sure a lot of you aren't business majors or anything. If we like give you a topic and you have questions, obviously ask like Natalie or myself. Like it's not like we're going to give you a topic and you have to put it up on the presentation directly from your own research and then present it, and you're afraid you're presenting false or like incorrect information. It will, like Natalie and I will check it over first. So if you're concerned about that, don't be.
I joined the education team last year as a freshman, and I literally didn't know anything about investing, and through it I was able to learn quite a bit, actually, because I did the research, and then I learned from the other girls who were also on the education team. Perfect. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, it was very nice to see you. This meeting is actually kind of short, but thank you so much for coming, and we're excited to see you guys at our next meeting. I'll make sure to send out all the information. Bye, guys.